Sunset, Daytona Beach. Yeah, things are brighter at night, especially under the bright lights atop Daytona International Speedway. It's the NASCAR Cup Series second practice, presented by Toyota. The sun went down, Larry Mack came up, and here we are. 24 years of you and me doing this between CBS and cable and now Fox. So glad to have you join us for this next hour. So, as you heard on Race Hub, we're in a quandary. If you think you can run for the pole for the Daytona 500, you have one agenda in this final hour. If you think you need to get ready to race for Thursday night, you may have a different agenda, because after qualifying, the cars all get parked and put away, and you can't hardly touch them until Thursday night. So, driver Clint Boyer, what do you want to do?
Well, I think you nailed it right there. I want to know what I have for a hot rod. I want to go out there, run a single car run, see some speed in this hot rod. If I don't have that, maybe I need to go back out, get in a draft with my teammates, a manufacturer like you heard Bobby Ladolani talk about, and see what this thing drives like in a draft. Two different things for this practice right here, Larry.
Yeah, if you look at the first practice, I think we saw exactly what we thought we would see. We did see a lot of draft packs. They were very controlled. They were very organized, but I do think we're going to see more of that in this, but I think for the most part, we're going to see these teams see this is the last practice before qualifying. You want to see, to Clint's point, exactly how fast that car is. And then there's the old Chad Knaus theory. If I make it fast by itself, it may be faster in a pack.
All right. So as we get ready to practice, let's check in with today's Toyota driver profile. Here's Jamie Little.
Well, Mike, if you're looking for a driver to pick on Sunday, look no further than the number 23, Bubba Wallace. He is the last driver to win on a super speedway. Of course, that was at Talladega, but we're here at Daytona, and this has been a good place for you. Finished runner-up in your first Daytona 500. What are the emotions that come back when you're here?
I'm bummed that we didn't finish P1 in practice. I'm always chasing those speed charts, but I know it doesn't matter. But just such an unknown coming into it. I didn't get to participate in the test down here with this next-gen car, so things were a little bit different. But quickly got into a rhythm out there. We did our Toyota drafting run there, and I thought we were actually okay for what I felt inside of our McDonald's Toyota Camry TRD. So we're going to go out and do some single car stuff now, see what we got for qualifying tomorrow night. It's always important to qualify up front, so been interested to see what we got. We were fast last year. Our 500 car was really fast, so hopefully we got the same speed in it.
All right, that's Bubba Wallace. Mike?
Thanks, Jamie. Truex, Blaney, Bell, Logano, and Byron will be the first to take to the track when we come back. Beautiful night in Daytona Beach. The weather is favorable for almost all of Speed Week. The chance of rain keeps going down for Saturday and Sunday, so that's a welcome sight. All right, track is open for practice. Martin Truex, Ryan Blaney, Joey Logano the first out, and they are well spaced. These will be single car runs. We'll go to the garage and Vince Welch.
Well, Mike, Kevin Harvick, this is his 22nd Cup season, and not much phases him, even after going a year last season without a win. I spoke to him after 16 laps in that first practice session. I said, what was your takeaway? He said, we're slow, but he said it with a smile on his face. So they're going to lower the car a little bit. That's what they're trying to adjust with the ride heights, find a little more comfortable ride, and find a little more speed for Kevin Harvick, hoping to get a second Daytona 500 win.
Okay, now it's a gentleman's agreement on pit road as the cars line up single file, kind of wait for a gap to go off. Chase Elliott was no gentleman. He just shot the whole line and the whole gap and got out there.
You always love the gentleman's agreement. With about 5 to go, it goes to hell in a handbasket.
Exactly.
So you're looking at Chase Elliott's car right here, and more importantly, the front of the car. We're talking about these cars switching over to qualifying trim, Larry. In years past, for so many years, we come down here, very easy to distinguish what cars were in qualifying trim and what weren't because of the tape that was on the grill. If that thing was taped off, you knew easily they were in qualifying trim. Not so much now.
Yeah, because the air on the older car, it went through the radiator and dumped under the hood. So anything you could do to plug the nose of that car up, it was going to help front downforce, but more than anything, it was going to lower the drag, more straightaway speed. But now the air does not go under the hood. It goes through a duct that dumps some to the throttle body in front of the radiator, and once it goes through the radiator, it goes out those louvers on the left and right side. There's no air going underneath the hood of the car. That's why tape really doesn't do anything. They can run a block-off plate, and it's kind of to your discretion, but for the most part, no tape on the nose.
Kind of takes away an important tuning tool during the race, not to be able to apply or remove tape.
Yeah, once that block-off plate's in there, you've got what you've got.
But it also goes back to the principle behind the car, right? The same for everybody. There's still some adjustments in there, Mike, and there's so many different things. You heard him talk about to the throttle body. We know that that's important. That fire-breathing Dragon doesn't make horsepower unless he gets plenty of air to that throttle body, and then the downforce is a big part of it as well.
All right, we're riding with Joey Logano, who's 5th on the board. Chase Elliott is at the top. But as we mentioned, Chase fired off from the exit of the garage, not from the end of pit road as everybody else did. So he definitely had a better launch speed than anybody.
Probably about an 80-mile-an-hour head start.
Exactly.
Yeah, when you only have about 510 horsepower, that can make a big, big difference. But we are seeing more single-car runs. Someone asked me today, how do you know if someone has actually helped you as far as drafting? And I said, we used to go by the theory, if you could see a car, it's probably helping you. I think a fourth of a lap, Clint, maybe 10 to 12 seconds, then you can feel like you got a clean lap.
Yeah, it's definitely evolved over the years. You know, we used to go out and absolutely, I know the deal. Look right here with Kevin Harvick. Definitely a toe. I'd see still didn't go.
He's second.
To the top.
Got the 9 about 30 back by
That tells me that Chase Elliott did as well. Look at those cars skewed right now, Larry. That was something we were seeing in the first practice, and he knew that that was going to come into play, especially when these teams are looking for speed.
But, Mike, to your point earlier about weighing out risk versus reward, do I have a car that can sit on the front row, or am I worried about the way it drives in the dual race? The more you skew that thing with the spoiler to the left, it's going to hurt the handling. And, Clint, the last few years, it just seemed like handling is becoming more of a player as this racetrack loses grip.
100%, but we've learned with the old car, mind you, we've learned that you could get away with that to an extent, like you were saying. Some of these teams, including that 4 of Kevin Harvick, didn't come down here and do the test. So when I see that car, that 4-ball out there with a skew in it like that, that's a little bit of a science project for these guys. They've never had that underneath him because he hasn't been in his Gen 7 car with it.
Look at the car head on. The edge of the spoiler sticking out on the driver's side. That keeps air from the right side of that spoiler and allows it to have a little more straightaway speed.
And
maybe
you can
a little
see
less
this
of
one
that
right here doesn't have quite as much.
If you can see both sides of that rear spoiler, you're not seeing a lot of skew in the car.
But usually, from my experience behind the wheel, that means that hot rod, it was pretty comfortable to drive. When that thing had skew in it, you can tell. I mean, it's simple math. If a car comes up to you and pushes on you, you're already headed that direction. It'll just help you even more.
That looks pretty squared up.
And I think this is something, too, you may see, you know, manufacturer-wise. Maybe the Toyota doesn't like it as much. These bodies are characteristically just a little bit different from one another.
But regardless of what generation of car, this is what we've seen out of the Toyotas. They seem to not come here and focus on qualifying. They seem to focus on getting those cars driving good in the draft.
Jamie?
Mike, I'm in the back side of the garage right now where all 6 of the open teams are working, hoping, praying they can race their way into the Great American Race. Kaz Gralla for the money team, Floyd Mayweather's team in the number 50. They had an issue in that first practice. His shifter came loose. They had to push him back to the garage. They think they've got all of that figured out. Those bugs worked out. Kaz getting ready to go back out and turn some laps here.
You just wanted to stand next to that cool wrap and bask in the glow, didn't you? That is something else. It's quite a car. All right. Jacques Villeneuve coming out along with Greg Biffle, all hopeful of making the Daytona 500. 4 of those 6 will start the Great American Race on Sunday. Landon Castle strapping in, getting ready to go for a practice run here in his Fox Nation car. Chase Briscoe The caboose in that 4-car train just went to the top of the board at 47.84. That's 188 miles an hour. Boy, that engine gets wound up, and it's just Johnny one note, isn't it?
It sure does. And I tell you, so many times I've been down here at this race, and you know, you hear that engine singing in your ear, and that's really how you know you have a really good run on somebody, or you get drugged down, you know, especially when you're pushing. The RPM change and that tune singing in your ear is such a big part of racing down here.
You know, Clint, it's funny you mentioned that. The car that we won the 98 500 with Dale Earnhardt, it was not that fast by itself, but it didn't lose RPM in the corner, and that's one thing that Dale loved about that car.
There's your telemetry, lower left, 8,100 RPM, 82, 81 all day long.
Let's see what it does when he turns the steering wheel down in the corner, see if it loses any.
Biggest thing is with that run that he had right there, you heard him have to lift out of the gas a little bit, burp the throttle just to pinch. And that's something you too. All right, so you're catching this guy. You hear that? You can hear it in the engine. And then as he catches him, you're either going to drag the brake, Larry, or you're going to lift out of the gas a little bit. Back in the day when you didn't have these throttle bodies, you had to, you couldn't crack out of the gas because you'd burn a piston. That was something that the engine guys were always on you hard about. But now with the throttle body and ECUs and everything, you don't have to worry about that, so you can just lift out of the throttle.
Well, that's part of the problem with the carburetor. You know, the jets are the same no matter how many RPM you're turning or whether you got the throttle wide open or you're feathering it. So fuel injection is such a huge improvement in all respects.
Technology, baby.
Yep. Let's check with Vince Welch.
Kevin Harvick, 5th on the speed chart. A lot of different agendas, but just because you're fast on the chart doesn't mean you're happy as a driver. Take a listen.
We're going to have to work on our car. It can't go around running track, bouncing around like a pogo stick.
We've heard those comments by a lot of drivers, especially in that first practice. Very rigid race cars in the front and the rear. You see them bouncing around. What is that attributed to, Larry?
Yeah, one thing that I did learn is they've really just got 3 of the 4 corners locked down, especially the 2 fronts. In other words, it's almost like a travel limiter. It just goes down and it just rides on solid left front and right front, because they're trying to keep that front splitter from going up and down, because the more that front splitter moves, it takes away the efficiency of the rear diffuser that's under the rear of the car.
And that's that balance of the air, right? The air on the rear diffuser, the aerodynamics of the car versus the chassis, the suspension. And it's almost as if the air holds more grip in the race car than even the suspension, is why they're able to keep those things as rigid as they do. And I think the bouncing around has a lot to do with this tire, that skinny sidewall on the 18-inch wheel. You don't have a lot of sidewall, and that squish in the sidewall used to be a lot of suspension with the old cars.
Now, in the first hour of practice, we saw Chris Buescher's car after it came in the garage after one of these bump drafting sessions with his new teammate Brad Keselowski, and that rear bumper cover was pretty skinned up.
I see Brad in both practices already. He's really been trying to work on tandeming up and pushing not only a bump draft, but actually locking together, trying to find speed as one.
Let's have a look at today's eBay Motors team analysis. Team RFK, Roush Fenway Racing last year. Now it's Roush Fenway Keselowski with Brad and Chris Buescher. Pair of Daytona 500 wins for that team. Started by Jack Roush way back when.
I was going to say there's going to be a money lap, but I think they stalled out right there, Larry.
Yeah, and back to the tandem where they're just pushing each other around this racetrack. That was the talk in the garage here this morning, Mike and Clint. is the Fords are more conducive because their nose is a little flatter. The Chevrolet Camaro and the Toyota Camry is a little more rounded, and that can get you in trouble if you're pushing at the wrong spot.
But it really surprises me, right? In the last few years, I remember, some of my peers in the Chevrolets and the Toyotas complaining, well, they can push, they have that flat bull nose on the Ford, and it's better on a super speedway for pushing and things like that. It surprises me with a new opportunity that they both still showed up with that arrowhead front end versus the Ford. I look for them Fords to be strong in the Daytona 500 for that very reason.
Can I play that back on Sunday? Because
Yep.
I think you are absolutely right. Chase Briscoe, fastest among those Fords in the draft. Welcome back to NASCAR Cup Series practice, part of Speedweeks presented by Advent Health. The Fords have made it fun to watch this practice. There's now 7 of them at the top of the chart, led by Cole Custer and Cody Ware.
Man, that's a cool angle right there, right down on the track. Shows you just how smooth this track is. For this big a racetrack to be that smooth is pretty incredible. It used to not be that way, Larry.
No, before that repave in 2011, we had bumps, crevices, potholes.
Swells.
We had it all.
Nice job, bud. Learn what you can here. And we're not going to do any blocking on the outside line. There's a car down slow. Still half out back. The other one's 1 off of him. The group of 3 is 5 off of them.
For me to get down here and get in the swing of things, I want to hear that. For a race car driver, I want to get down here, knock the rust off. Yes, we just had the Coliseum race, but total different beast right here. I want to get in the groove, in sync, more importantly than anything, with my spotter. I want to hear him. I want to know what he's thinking. If a car's pointing out or I'm doing a block, I want to hear in his voice exactly how he's going to react to that situation. So important in this style of racing.
I'm good there. We can start working his way down and bring.
Another new face, Harrison Burton, moves up to the Wood Brothers in the Cup Series for 2022. Jamie?
Big undertaking for this young rookie. One of 3 rookies in the field this year. Just talked to the team, Brian Wilson, his crew chief, and he said after that first practice session, they decided they probably don't have the speed to go for the pole, so they're just focusing on race runs here. They're going to do some single car runs, and then they want to join up with the Penske cars and do some drafting so that this young rookie can feel it out before the big race.
Well, there you have it. We were talking about at the top of the show, what are you going to do with this 50-minute practice session? Are you going to go out and try to work on going for that pole with your speed? And you're going to know that. Go out, run one single lap by yourself, see whether you'd have for a hot ride. But I'm telling you, shots fired. When Chase Elliott went out and ran that all by himself, I'd say a lot of these teams said, maybe we'll go out and see let's just work on handling.
Chase Elliott 48.73 by himself, and now Justin Haley 48.83. So, and Alex Bowman right with them. So the Chevys have single car speed, and here Pogo sticking his way around the speedway is Daniel Suarez. That is a rough ride.
I get a feeling this is one of those cars. They've got 3 of the 4 corners just locked down, almost again like on ride limiters. But back to Chase Elliott, we feel like he will be a contender for the pole tomorrow night. I talked to his crew chief Alan Gustafson about how aggressive are you in the dual race. He said, don't forget, there's stage points available in that dual race and pit selection for the Daytona 500.
Wait
which
a minute. Whoa, Larry, did you say stage points?
It's February 15th. Are you counting stage points
There's only
already?
one
Let's see how important they are when we get to the end of the regular season.
There's only one stage that matters in Daytona, and that's right down there in Victory Lane. That's the only stage that counts.
Now look at Kevin Harvick compared with what we just saw from Daniel Suarez.
And he was complaining about the way his car drove. Maybe he don't want to get in that Tootsie ride.
That one.
I think this is Kevin.
Now this is Suarez. And Briscoe. Excuse me.
That's not a fair analogy right there, Mike.
Yeah, they all handle well down pit road.
Yeah.
Go hard, go hard. About 10 back to the 19, 5 back.
Oh, he's going to. Waiting on his
We're good on pit road stuff. It all look good.
Well, he was practicing pit road, which is why you saw him on pit road right there. And what that was is his crew chief telling him they're down there watching his pit road speeds. This is the one practice session that the crew chief can see the pit road speeds from the NASCAR officials and report back to him.
Well, if you go to the dual race on Thursday night, we know everybody will have to make one trip at least to pit road. It could be a green flag pit stop. A mistake by the driver or the crew on that pit stop could take you right out of the equation. See his teammate Cole Custer in the 41 doing the same thing right now.
You know, with the gearbox, Larry, I've never thought about this, but so many years down there, you know, the lag in the drive line, it used to really throw you off when you were trying to focus on just a half of an RPM difference between, you know, being the best on pit road and not being the best on pit road. Maybe a gear selection, a second or a third gear without affordability in this new, you know, transmission that we have, that might be able to help these guys out of some of that.
Yeah, because I get a feeling the ratios between those are pretty close, so it could be a choice.
There was always a sweet spot for sure in your drive line. You got out of that, no man's land.
We are halfway through this second practice session of Tuesday, the final practice session before pole position qualifying tomorrow night on FS1 and the Thursday dual races that will set the field for the 500. No more practice after tonight. Folks in the fan zone enjoying a look over the NASCAR Cup garage and a look at these new cars. And I'm proud to say that we're nearly 2 hours into this and no one has mentioned the biggest story of all last summer, moving the numbers on the side of the cars. It does not matter, does it?
Hey, it doesn't matter what that car looks like. I've said they all look good in victory lane. I don't care what color's on it or what's. If the sponsor's happy, I'm happy.
Long as champagne's dripping off of it.
That's right.
I was not an early adopter of moving the number forward on the side of the car, but it works for sponsor identification. The number is still distinctive to each car. It's still very identifiable. I'm fine with it. Let's race.
Well, you look at how short the overhang is on this car behind the rear tire. It was almost a necessity to give the sponsor any kind of real estate whatsoever. It's much shorter than the old car. It's more like a production car.
Yeah, I mean, it's all about selling real estate, right? On the side of those race cars, it's all about real estate. And when you shrink that quarter panel up almost a foot, it seems like, you're going to have to do something. And moving those numbers forward, you can see right there on Blaney's car, the Menards is just way bigger than it used to be.
Well, I'm glad we had this discussion. Let's put that one in the box. Let's tie it up with a bow and kick it in the corner. We're done.
No, but the numbers changed, Mike. What are we ever going to do?
Yeah.
But that's what I told many fans that were leery of it. I said, I promise you, let us get a little ways into 2022. You'll forget about the days the number was in the center of the door.
And somebody, I saw it on Twitter. I did.
Imagine.
They used to be that way. There was a period of, well, you guys were probably around. I wasn't. But back then, I don't know what that was, but they used to be that way. Big push right there. Kevin Harvick on Tyler Reddick had him messed up a little bit. Actually got into him hard enough that it wiggled the rear end around, which is the first time I've seen that in practice.
But you're right. In the early 50s, some of the numbers were far forward like that. And on some of the fabulous Hudson Hornets, they were back on the rear quarter panel. So put the number anywhere you want. Let's go.
Look how skewed the 4 car is at Kevin Harvick.
Yeah, you see just the left side where that spoiler's sticking out. What great camera work. Great head-on view there. Now, with the independent rear suspension, Larry. How easy is it to achieve that, and how hard is it then to change it?
Yeah, I could see a lot of that going on in that first practice when I was in the garage area. It's simply with different shims and things that you can change out in the rear of the car. I know the 9, remember, there's things you can change back there, skew, you can change camber, you can change toe. There's a lot of things you can change, just like what you can change on the front. They were trying feverishly to change some right there with about 2 minutes to go. They couldn't quite make it back out. But, yeah, I think it's actually done easier on this car than with the old car.
The hardest thing for me to get my head wrapped around with this new gen car is the simple fact that most of the juice is underneath the car. You can't see it. Forever, you know, in my career, all the stuff that you use, especially on a track like Daytona for speed-wise, was all on top of the car, cosmetic, where you could see it to the naked eye. Now with the diffuser, the air, the attitude of the car, everything is underneath that car. A lot of speed happens with what you see right there behind Kevin Harvick's car, that diffuser at the bottom.
Let's go to the garage and Vince.
Well, and as you ride on board with Kevin Harvick, you know, as we mentioned earlier, 22 years in the series, not much new phases him, even with this new car. But he did not test the car. In fact, none of the Stewart-Haas cars tested. They have an alliance with Rick Ware Racing, and a Ware car was here, which in a sense is a Stewart-Haas car. But Kevin was not driving during the test here in January. So these were his first laps in that initial practice, and then here today. We heard some audio earlier from Kevin, not particularly pleased with the ride and the comfort of the car, but a few minutes ago he said, I'm okay if you want to come in and want me to come in, and they said no, stay out. So he has gotten in the draft a little bit. He has run in the front, he has run toward the back. Just a matter of getting a little bit more comfortable, and hopefully it pays off Thursday in the duels.
All right, 2 drivers have yet to practice, Corey LaJoie and Ty Dillon. Everybody else has been out there for at least a few laps. Now, what do the last 7 Daytona 500 pole winners all have in common?
Looks like to me they drive for a man that wears an H on his ball cap.
Wait a second.
That man right there.
The answer, as Larry pointed out, 6 of the 7 drive for Rick Hendrick. And all 7 had Hendrick engines under the hood.
Yeah, Ricky Stenhouse Jr. a couple of years ago, 47 car, Hendrick engines, so absolutely.
This record that Alex Bowman and his crew chief Greg Ives share of 4 consecutive front row starts in the 500, that's pretty incredible. And if tomorrow night he does it again, it will tie the record held by 5 different Hall of Famers with 5 Daytona 500 non-consecutive, but 5 front row starts each.
And I don't want to take anything away from Alex Bowman, but I'm telling you, that appreciation for me is Greg Ives. Because not only did he beat the competition, the hardest part is you got 3 teammates sitting over there with the same equipment you do. That means you have to leave something up your sleeve, just a little bit more that they don't know about, even within those walls at Hendrick Motorsports. Hats off to him for 4 times being the man.
Just saw Chase Elliott in that 9 car leaving pit road. I did see sticker tires on that 9 car, so possibly could it be a little bit of a practice qualifying run here with just a little over 16 minutes to go.
So an interesting tweet from Jeff Gordon, now the vice chairman of Hendrick Motorsports, saying he wants to challenge his drivers to get out and do things. He said he didn't want to host Saturday Night Live. He was scared to death, and he did it. He had a great time. It was a great thing for the sport. It was a great thing for Jeff. Wants to challenge his drivers to get out and do things, get outside their comfort zone. Denny Hamlin tweeted right back, and Hamlin said, our core fan wants us to be vanilla, maybe without even any topping. That's what they want. I don't know.
I don't know what happened right there. Jeff Gordon, he stepped out. Yeah, he left us and went right into his shell. Stepped in a pretty good program, right into winning the championship for himself. I'd say he had it timed just right.
That's kind of been the story of his whole career. Timing.
Pretty good at timing, isn't
yes.
it? he's timed it a few times just right here at the Daytona 500 as well.
Of course, when you're pretty good at a lot of things, the timing just kind of comes to you, doesn't it?
You know, Mike, you had mentioned Corey LaJoie was one of the drivers that had not been out. So now all 42 drivers, they have been on track. Corey is on his 3rd lap in the 7 car.
Ray Evernham just weighed in, and he says, amazing how little they turn the wheel compared to when we used to have a steering box in these cars instead of the new rack and pinion.
There's just no slack there. It's very responsive. You know, when he turns the wheel, the front tires move. Where before, heard Clint talking in the first practice, it had to go through the steering box, the drag length, the tie rods, everything else.
Kurt Busch. Here's Jamie.
Well, how about Ross Chastain has a new home this year, the Watermelon Man, Trackhouse Racing in the number 1. They feel pretty good about their race cars so far. They just went out, they did a mock qualifying run. They like where they are. The one thing that caught him off guard because he was not here in the test is how rough the ride is. And we're hearing that from a lot of drivers, even those who did test down here, saying that rough ride, they were not expecting it. But in true form for the Watermelon Man, look at this. Beautiful paint scheme, and they just put the watermelon seeds right in the side.
You know, guys, I really do look for this to be more of a story, in particular when we get to drafting and in packs. These guys, these cars bouncing around, they all know. They've been here and done that. When I had a car that was bouncing around down there, that means as soon as you get that baby in a pack, she's going to be light on her feet and hard to handle. That has me concerned when we start going into these duels, and more importantly, the Daytona 500 on Sunday.
Yeah, the days are gone when you could tune your car for 1 lap and then work on it for 2 days before the dual races. After tonight, you've got what you got. Vacation. Ross Chastain, well, went to work on the family's watermelon farm. William Byron made a Lego typewriter. Noah Gragson went to the Raiders season finale in Vegas. Ryan Blaney attended the Spider-Man No Way Home premiere. And Kyle Larson and his wife went overseas. Had a visit in Dubai and Abu Dhabi.
I was very jealous of him in that trip. He was texting us a couple pictures back and forth. Man, it looked like fun. He was obviously there for the F1 race. Took all that in, which was an awesome, epic finale right there.
Sure was. Bubba Wallace coming in. 27th right now as the Penske cars. 212 and 22 plus the Wood Brothers 21, which is kind of an in-house affiliate of Team Penske.
Pretty tight pack right there too, Larry. Be interesting to see what kind of lap they post here. It might take them a lap or two, especially as they start catching some other cars, getting a toe off of somebody. That'll help them get a fast lap.
Well, they reported from the garage, you see Harrison Burton in that 21 car leading it around. Just felt like they didn't have enough speed to worry about qualifying. Let's just get this 21 car running good, driving good for the dual race. But this is exactly what Paul Wolf, Joey Logano's crew chief, told me, especially the latter part of the second practice. We're going to get pretty serious about drafting with our teammates.
Now, the Burton and Blaney cars don't show a lot of skew, as you see in this head-on shot. You can see the ends of both side spoilers, maybe a little more skew in Logano.
You know, it's funny. I think that the 3 Penske cars look to have a little bit more skew than Harrison Burton did with the Wood Brothers car, which is interesting.
You think it might have something to do with that yellow stripe on that rear bumper?
Probably. Have a rookie. Let's keep that thing straight.
Nice and secure.
That's right.
Well, now you've got rookies at both ends of that foursome with Burton and Cindric.
I think this could be a fun rookie battle. Throw Todd Gilliland in the mix. I think this could be fun all year long to watch these young drivers.
All in good equipment, good opportunities, and I agree with you. I think that's going to be a battle right down to the end.
Well, if you look on the left side of the screen, the top 11 cars, all in the draft, all Fords, and they are followed by 12 Chevrolets.
Still not as quick as that pack of 6 Fords, but normally 6 lined up is going to be a little quicker than 4 lined up.
Well, those 6 that you saw when I was watching Custer and Ware that went to the front right there, more importantly, they caught some cars that were running together too wide and had a really good pull off of those cars that they were catching. These guys are pretty much all by themselves in a line.
Now, as for the Toyotas, it's not that they don't have speed. They did all their drafting in the first round of practice. Jamie?
Ricky Stenhouse Jr. 13th on the board. One of the coolest things, Mike, about Daytona is the fans get up close and personal, getting some autographs from your fans there. You're out of the car. You guys are done. You seem to be pretty happy overall. Did you guys have to change much this evening?
No, we took a lot of notes from the 2 tests that we've had down here, and our Irish Spring number 47 is driving really good, so we didn't really want to keep making laps just to make laps. So right there at the end, us in the 4 car just wanted to kind of go out and see for us, you know, some adjustments from qualifying to, you know, race Thursday night, exactly how far we need to go to make sure it drives as good as I want it to and still have the speed. We practiced kind of going top, bottom, just kind of seeing what the racetrack was like. It's rougher at the top, but all in all, the Kroger guys have been working really hard. I feel like we're really prepared, and I don't think we have a shot for the pole, but I feel really good about, you know, how our 2 practices have gone, and we'll see what we can do.
JTG is a single car operation this year, Mike.
That's right, and Ricky has sat on the Daytona 500 pole. As we watch this Ford draft, looking ahead at Ryan Blaney from Joey Logano.
But I like something he told Jamie there. He also went out there and ran with another manufactured car. See what your car does aside just with another Chevrolet. See what it does with a Ford or possibly a Toyota.
Note that Ty Dillon has made it out on track in the Petty GMS number 42. So that means all 42 cars have been on track for practice as Kevin Harvick debriefs. What does the wind do at 185 miles an hour? Look at the corner of Joey Logano's hood.
A lot.
In the draft.
A lot of disturbed air right there, Larry.
Yeah, and you see his teammate Ryan Blaney in the 12 because he's in clean air. He's not in dirty air. His hood is sealed off perfectly. That's exactly what turbulent or dirty air will do to the nose of that car.
And you can see right there just how low these cars are, particularly around that diffuser on the rear of the car.
And what the diffuser does, it's very aero efficient. It decreases the downforce without paying a drag penalty, and that's important. Plus, it will, you may not see it here at Daytona or Talladega, but it kind of cleans the wake of the car up that it's coming off of.
As you say that, a hood about flew off of Logano's car.
Vince?
Yeah, watching that video with Kevin Harvick, interesting. And I asked you how much different is the air with these cars, and you also referenced the bumper. How would you address those two?
Well, the bumper's round in the back, so it makes that tandem really tough. You know, when we did the tandem with the old cars, they had flat front bumpers, they had flat rear bumpers, and they had some feel to them, I guess you could say. So Reddick did that a little bit. He drug the brake a little bit, and I kind of got attached to him. So that gives us a good read on temperatures and how much movement the car in front of you has and how hard you can hit him. And so that's the first time I've actually tried to bump drive somebody at this particular track, so with this car. So it's that timing of how much to drag the brake, because the brake pedal feels a lot different in this car too. It's a lot stiffer, so you barely have to touch it to slow the car down. So getting that timing down of how hard to touch the brake pedal, how hard the guy behind you needs to hit you, and watching that the hood flap fly up in front of your face the whole time is it's all new. So you just have to get the timing of all that down.
A lot to get used to, Mike.
A lot that's new with this brand new 7th generation car. Austin Cindric, Joey Logano.
And they're hooked up right there. That's that feel that he's talking about. And you can see that right there, you saw Joey Logano drag the brake. Exactly what Kevin Harvick was talking about. You saw Joey Logano drag the brake, and it brought him right back to him. Probably too much brake, and the 2-car Austin Cindric hit him pretty hard, wiggled his rear end around.
Now they will swap positions down here in turn 1. Blaney is the
Still
quickest
half in front.
Ford.
You are clear.
Daniel Suarez, the fastest Chevy in this session. Christopher Bell is the quickest Toyota.
You know, the other thing that Kevin said there, this is a learning process about the temps. You asked me all about the airflow going through there, the ductwork. There's no notes on that. It's kind of trial and error right now in this practice session to figure out where they truly are, how long they can stay tucked up.
Oh, this route by 3/4.
Well, we've seen groups. We've seen organizationally, we've seen groups, and obviously now that we've seen these Penske group lock up and go right to the top of the board, shots fired with those guys doing a great job creating speed with those cars. Just 4 of them, as a matter of fact. And I see, because of that, obviously a lot more pushing. They're being a little bit more aggressive, and I think you're seeing the result because of it.
40 seconds to go. That's one more lap in this session.
Car up here on the bottom is pitting this lap.
Kaz Grala, quickest among the open cars, the 6 drivers that have to either time in or race in. Qualifying starts right about this time tomorrow night.
They should get one more lap in, and then I wouldn't be a bit surprised to see them maybe do a little practice run at pit road as they come off the racetrack possibly.
I like what I see with those cars. You see Joey Logano pushing Ryan Blaney right there. Being able to do that and attach their bumper and more importantly, progress. You know, there was times when we did that, it would actually drag both of you down and it'd bog you down and neither one of you progressed and had success with it. Now I'm seeing these cars, two working as one, showing some progression and moving forward. So I think that's going to be a big thing, particularly probably in these dual races.
Looks like Blaney and Logano may run this one out to the flag.
Nope, making a run at pit road.
Room to the right. Yeah. Leave room to the right. 21's going to run the distance.
We'll be back to wrap things up. Ryan Blaney wins practice. Sunday, the biggest stock car race of the year, the Daytona 500. 2:30 Eastern, 11:30 Pacific, only on Fox and the Fox Sports app. But to win it, first you have to get in it. Qualifying tomorrow night, right here on FS1, and the dual races on Thursday evening. Fastest in each practice, Fords. In practice 2, Fords occupied the top 10 spots. But who's going to win the pole tomorrow night?
You just told me Fords are fast. They're bringing the heat. Top 10 in that second practice. I look for the Fords to be big.
I look for the Fords to be big on Thursday. I look for those Chevrolets to be awfully tough when they drop the green flag on qualifying tomorrow.
Can't tell you who's going to win the pole, but I'd like to see Alex Bowman's streak continue. 4 consecutive front row starts in the 500, going for 5 tomorrow night here on FS1. Tomorrow on FS1, NASCAR Race Hub, Daytona 500 Media Day, and Daytona 500 qualifying. Coming up next on FS1, NASCARcade, the evolution of NASCAR video games. Hope you enjoy it. We'll see you tomorrow night.